Welcome to Premier Predictions Week 15, the series where I predict every game of every week in the Premier League. And last week, the Random Football Scoreline Generator won, and ChatGPT lost. And I'm winning overall again. I'm back on top. Yes, that's right. I am going against ChatGPT and the Random Football Scoreline Generator. But the main thing is predicting this week. So, without further ado, it's time to predict. It's at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa versus the Gunners. And what a week last week, can I say? Aston Villa won 4-3 versus Brighton. And they were 2-0 down. While Arsenal won 2-0. Quite a routine win versus Brentford. Quite comfortable. So both teams are doing really well. First versus third. I think everyone agrees with me, Arsenal are probably going to win the title. Aston Villa ain't far behind. And it's at Villa Park. I think a draw is plausible because we've seen Sunderland at their home ground get a draw versus Arsenal. Same with Chelsea, they managed to get a draw versus Arsenal. So, I can't do it. I can't go against Arsenal. They look too good. I'm sorry, Aston Villa. I'm going 2-1 Arsenal. But you can see I'm struggling and I want to go down the middle. 0-0 says the Random Football Scoreline Generator. It did win last week, so it could be another week of randomness. Over to ChatGPT.
Arsenal's control plus quality should edge Villa, even with injuries. 2-1 to Arsenal. It's going to be a close matchup.
ChatGPT has just copied me as we move to the Hill Dickinson Stadium, where it's Everton versus Nottingham Forest. This is going to be a close game, but Everton have been killing it. They're in 10th place with only one loss in the last 5 games, and they just beat Bournemouth 1-0. I said Bournemouth would win, and they played very well. They very much deserve it. Jack Grealish, super Jack Grealish, amazing. And at the Hill Dickinson, against Nottingham Forest, who are in a relegation battle. So it seems like Everton are definitely the favourites with those two things. I'm going 2-0 to Everton. Nottingham Forest, well done on your 1-0 win versus last place. Come on, it's Wolves. I think anyone can beat Wolves right now. But Everton, it's not just Jack Grealish and Dewsbury Hall working well together. It's not just Iliman Ndiaye being skillful and crazy and one of the most exciting players to watch. But it's also their defence and goalkeeper. Jordan Pickford got another clean sheet. He's been absolutely amazing this season, save after save. So it makes sense why I'm going to go for a clean sheet. Nottingham Forest have been looking better, but they still lost to Brighton. And Everton are just doing better at the moment than Nottingham Forest. 6-2 to Everton. The Random Generator agrees with me, sort of, saying Everton are going to win. I mean, you never know. We did have a 5-4 game and a 4-3 game, which was crazy.
Physical, scrappy, both a little unreliable in attack. 1-1 draw, definitely a tight game.
Over to the best stadium ever. It's at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United versus Burnley. Newcastle were robbed versus Spuds. I genuinely thought Newcastle were going to thrive against them. And to be fair, throughout the whole game really, Newcastle were the better side. Newcastle seemed to show more intensity and more aggression than Tottenham throughout the entirety of that game. There were spells for Tottenham, but overall, I'm surprised Newcastle didn't win it. I'm just looking back at the game in my head, thinking how did Newcastle not win it? But still got a draw out of it. That's still something. And now Newcastle are facing Burnley. Newcastle still played really well versus Spuds. And that game could have easily gone Newcastle's way. If Newcastle weren't wasteful in their chances and shots, then it definitely could have been a win for Newcastle. 3-0 Newcastle has to be. Burnley are in the relegation zone. They've lost the last 5 games in a row. They're in 19th. It should be a very routine win. Burnley, to be fair, against Crystal Palace, you actually dominated the stats with shots and possession, but stats ain't everything, as you lost 1-0 and could not break that Crystal Palace defence. 3-1 Newcastle. It could happen, and I hope it does happen that Newcastle win.
Newcastle are solid at home, and Burnley struggle to create chances, so that should be a straightforward 2-0 win to Newcastle. A controlled win for the Geordies.
Over to the Etihad Stadium Manchester City versus Sunderland. This one, I think, is tricky. I think I am going to go for the obvious team to win, for Man City. But I'm not going to underestimate Sunderland. They got a point versus Liverpool. Yes, they didn't create as many shots as Liverpool, but they still just looked better at times than Liverpool, and they deserved a point. But going against Manchester City, who are way more consistent than Liverpool this season, I don't think they can do it. Man City scored 5 goals, and yes, they did look a bit open against Fulham in the second half, and they almost bottled it. They still look good in the attack. Erling Haaland's back on scoring form. He's broken records again, getting to 100 goals quicker than Alan Shearer. And Manchester City at home as well. I'm going 3-2 to Man City. Sunderland, you're going to make it a very tough game for Man City. Sunderland to win versus Man City, that's never going to happen. That is a random prediction, which makes sense.
City's attack is just too strong, even if they have some midfield absences, so 3-0 to Man City, a comfortable domination.
Tottenham Hotspur versus Brentford. Tottenham, you didn't look the best versus Newcastle, but what you did do is still get a point at St James's Park. And the reason why Tottenham managed to get a draw is because of just a couple of moments, a couple of lapses in concentration by Newcastle allowed Tottenham to get a couple of good moments to score. That was it. It wasn't like Tottenham had a master tactical plan to get a draw. And that penalty, by the way, was a penalty for Newcastle. So I haven't been incredibly impressed by Tottenham. So I don't want to go for them to win. But because they're at home, because there is still quality in there, and I know there's quality in there, because they're both mid-table teams, because they both have their ups and downs, I'm going to go down the middle in this London derby. I'm going for a Desmond Tutu. Brentford, you lost 2-0 against Arsenal. You did hit the crossbar with Kevin Schade, but really, Arsenal deserved that win, and it was a very comfortable loss for Brentford. And Brentford, Igor Thiago is balling. Kevin Schade, like I said, hit the crossbar, gets in really good positions. Damsgaard is a great creative midfielder, so a draw you can definitely get against Tottenham, especially when Tottenham have been very leaky defensively. So 2 goals scoring for Brentford, who have a crazy good attack, makes sense. 4-2 to Brentford. I could see that happening, knowing Tottenham are not performing in recent time.
Brentford are dangerous on set pieces, but Spurs' front line wins it. 2-1 to Spurs. A narrow but deservedly, most probably, win for Tottenham.
Over to the Vitality Stadium, AFC Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Bournemouth, your season went from to... It's not going good, Bournemouth. You don't look terrible, yet you're not getting the results. I don't think you're winning, but Chelsea, you lost 3-1 to Leeds United, and deservedly. You had tons of the possession, but what did you do with it? Barely anything compared to what Leeds did with their minimal possession. I don't think Chelsea's going to win this after that loss. I know they have Cole Palmer back, but he's only just come back, so he's going to be rusty. And to be fair, I didn't see him do anything wowzer versus Leeds United. And with no Caicedo as well, Bournemouth have a real good chance of not losing this game. I've seen Bournemouth even when they've lost, like against Sunderland, and they still look high energy, threatening, intensity, aggressive going forward. They haven't lost that. So I think a draw is definitely possible after Chelsea lost to Leeds. Chelsea to win 2-1. That's more logical than my prediction.
Chelsea are inconsistent, but they've got more match winners, and Bournemouth are wobbling. So 2-1 to Chelsea, an edged win for them.
Talking about Leeds so much, Leeds United versus Liverpool. Liverpool, you didn't even score last game versus Sunderland. I finally thought Vert scored, but he didn't. He still hadn't scored. It was an own goal. Liverpool, you may have created more shots than Sunderland, got more expected goals, had more possession. You still didn't win. You drew it. And Leeds United, I think Calvert-Lewin and Mecha is going to be fit for this game. Daniel Farke listened to the fans, saw what worked in the Man City game, replicated it for the Chelsea game, and it worked. And guess what? He's going to do the same again. No doubt about it. And because he's at Ellen Road, because there's a morale booster, because there's a bit of an oomph of momentum for Leeds United, and because Liverpool don't know what to do. They're all over the place. Yeah, I'm going 2-1 Leeds United. I backed Leeds to at least get a point in the last game. I underestimated Leeds. Somehow, going to draw against Chelsea, who are one of the best teams in the Premier League right now, somehow I underestimated them. They did brilliant, Leeds. And at Ellen Road as well, with that home advantage, I think you can do it. It's going to be a seriously end-to-end game, because both these teams normally dominate the shot count. So both the teams are going to get so many shots each, and it's going to be an exciting game to watch. Random Generator says the same. 2-1 to Leeds United.
It's going to be an open, chaotic game with lots of chances both ways. I'm calling it a Desmond, a 2-2 draw. End-to-end madness indeed.
Brighton versus West Ham United. West Ham, you didn't do too shabby. Aaron Bissaka did brilliant in that game. West Ham did okay versus Man United. First goal for Magassa is very good to see, but they're facing Brighton West Ham away from home, and it was a close game. Brighton, you were 2-0 up at one point, you lost it 4-3, and you looked very good against Aston Villa, even though you lost. And at home against West Ham, I'm sorry West Ham, it's not going to happen. Brighton look way too good. 3-1 to Brighton. I've got confidence they can win. Random Generator, 2-0 to Brighton. To be fair, the Random Generator might have another good week with these predictions.
Brighton's structure and control of the Amex should prove enough. 2-1 to Brighton. A solid performance.
Over to Craven Cottage. It's Fulham versus Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace, you're on 5th, while Fulham, you're on 15th. So, you would think Crystal Palace are going to win this. And they could easily win this. Don't get me wrong. But they did win 1-0 versus Burnley. And Mark Gay, what an assist. If there was an assist of the week, it would probably be that one, because that was a brilliant long ball over everyone to Muniz. And brilliant, well taken by Muniz goal against Burnley. But you only had 3 shots. But defensively, you looked very good. And I think that's the main thing. That's why I think it's going to be another low-scoring game, Crystal Palace. But Fulham, I've seen something in Fulham. It was a close game versus Man City. When they're on the comeback, it was giving me goosebumps because they were constantly pushing forward. Every little move, every little run, every little pass seemed fluid, seemed sharp. They seemed to react really well, and they properly were up for it. They were up for the comeback, and they got really close. Even after they scored the 4th goal, they had another real good opportunity to get another, and I think it was cleared off the line by Gavadio. And because Fulham are at home, I know it's a London derby, so Crystal Palace don't have to travel far, but still, home advantage still is an advantage, even when it's quite close in locations with the other team. I think Fulham can win this. They deserve it. Fulham have been playing pretty well recently. I was impressed with their performance versus Tottenham. I was impressed with their courage and determination versus Man City, and just the quality of their teamwork. So they're going to win this 1-0. Crystal Palace only just about won against Burnley. So I think it's highly probable Fulham can go and win. But I wouldn't be surprised for a draw. 2-1 to Fulham. It agrees with me again.
Imagine a cagey derby scene. Both sides are missing key pieces, and there's this tension where neither really takes over. It's a 1-1 draw in the end, just an even, suspenseful contest.
Over to the Molineux Stadium, it is Wolves versus Manchester United. As much as I want to go for Wolves to get a draw, because it seems like surely they're going to have to, they've lost again. I went for a draw against Nottingham Forest, and at times you did come close to getting a draw. But come on, Wolves. You cannot go another game with a loss. No, you probably can. I'm not taking any risks. I'm going 2-0 to Man United. Yes, Man United did drop points versus West Ham, but this is Wolves we're talking about. And Man United, they've still got one of the best midfielders in the world, Bruno Fernandes. Brian Mbeumo still seems lively in the attack. And defensively, they do not look terrible. They seem alright. And this season, they have shown a bit more consistency. I'm going 2-0 Man United for obvious reasons. Wolves are last place, while Man United are in 8th place. 1-0 Man United agrees with me again.
Wolves' poor form just keeps dragging on. United take their chances and come out 2-0 winning. A comfortable away victory for them.
Goal of the week, I'm giving it to Phil Foden. That was a crazy game. Loads of stuff happened, but that first goal by Phil Foden, oh my gosh, it was perfect. What a rocket of a goal. Let me know what you think of all our predictions, but take my predictions with a very small grain of salt, because really all 3 of us are doing terrible. Like, we should be hitting 90 points or maybe even 100 points by now to be considered good at predicting, and that's not what's happening. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you want, you can like and subscribe to make my predicting better. Trust me, I think it works. But you don't have to, of course. But for now, I'll see you next time in the next Mr. Footballer Loons video. Toodaloo.